There was once an old man who wore a white woolen robe. It went from here all the way down to there. Sometimes he washed it, sometimes he trimmed it, sometimes he slept in it. At all times and wherever he went, he wore it. And on his head, a blue silk turban. But let's start this story at the beginning. For this old man was, a long time ago, a young man. And as a young man he used to go to the school. He went to the school to learn from the wise old mullahs. The wise old mullahs who thought that they were wiser than he. But this young man thought that he was wiser than they. He was so charismatic and such a good storyteller, they say, that the students preferred to listen to him than they did to listen to the mullahs. And this didn't please the mullahs at all. One day one of them came to him and said, You may be wise now, and the older you get, the wiser you will become, but the older you get, the more the people will laugh at you. And so it turned out to be. As the young man became an old man, he became wiser, and more people laughed at him. But that didn't worry him greatly, because he knew that when the laughter stopped, they would understand his wisdom, because behind all of his laughter there was wisdom, and all of his wisdom came with laughter. This young man, who became an old man, who became a wise old fool, his name was Juha. In the Arabic lands. In the Persian lands, in Turkey today, they call him Nasruddin Hodja. But Juha also made it into Europe. He lived for a while in Sicily, and in Sicily, La Bella Sicilia, his name was Jufra. But I shall call him Juha because that, in the Arabic lands, is where I first encountered his stories. His stories. There are many stories attributed to Juha. It's hard to know which ones are about him or which ones are by him, which ones are true and which ones are not. You'll have to make up your own minds, because now I'm going to tell you some of his stories. Not the famous ones, but my favourite ones. Once, Juha had to go on a great journey. He knew that it would be a long and tiring journey, and he would be away from his home for a long time, but that didn't bother him. So he set off, and he walked and walked and walked. And after a whole day's walking, tired, along a dusty road, he came to a caravanserai, where Juha hoped he would find a room, and in that room he hoped he would find a soft, comfortable bed where he could have a good night's sleep, ready for the next day's journey. He came to a nice house, he knocked on the door, the owner of the house told him that he did indeed have a room, and he showed Juha up to the room. Juha tested the bed by prodding his finger into the mattress. It was soft enough. When he inquired as to how much the room cost, the owner told him that it would cost 1 golden dirham for 1 night, which Juha found a little steep, but he was tired, so he took the room. When the owner had gone, he pushed open the windows, and the sight before him took his breath away. He was looking out on the marketplace of the caravanserai. There were people everywhere, selling things, buying things, bartering, arguing, discussing, talking, coming and going. There were animals, there were colours, there were smells. Oh, it was lovely. And as Juha looked, he saw an old man walking in, with a turban which was similar to his own. The old man went and sat underneath a tree. He pulled out from in his robes a bowl, a kashkool, and he laid it on the ground and began to tell stories. People gathered around and sat down on cushions and without and listened to the stories, and Juha, who couldn't hear from that far away, thought to himself, I think I'd like to listen to a story before I go to sleep. So down the stairs he went, and he was about to go out of the door when the owner of the house called him back. Hey you, come here. You must realise that at midnight Exactly at midnight, I will lock the doors of this house, I will shut them, and I will not let anybody in no matter what, because that is the law." "Fair enough," said Juha. "I'll be back before midnight." And off he went. He came onto the market, he pushed his way past all the people, and he sat down on a cushion right in front of the storyteller. He was offered a little glass of tea, which he gratefully accepted and drank, and he sat back and listened to the most beautiful stories he'd ever heard. And we all know what happens when you listen to stories. Time flies. And soon he realised that it was in fact quite late. In fact, it was midnight. And with a bit of a shock, he realised that there weren't many people left on the marketplace, just he and the storyteller, who was continuing to tell stories. As long as there's one person listening, a storyteller will never stop. Juha, with a shock, got up and he went back to the house and found the door to the house to be locked. Of course, it was after midnight. So he banged on the door. Bum, 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 bum. Nothing happened. He banged on the door a little louder. Bum, 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 bum. Still nothing happened. Bum, 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 bum. And then above him, above the door, opened a window and a head popped out. "What do you want?" I'd like to come in, please. I'd like to sleep in the bed that I've paid for one night." "Sorry, it's after midnight. I can't let you in. The door is locked. I did warn you." But I was listening to the storyteller. Please, let me in. Just come down and open the door. There's no one here. No one will notice." No. I cannot open the door. It is after midnight. That is the law. I'm sorry. There is nothing whatsoever you can do, or I can do even, that opens that door after midnight." "Well, where should I sleep then?" said Juha. "You'll have to sleep on the doorstep." Ay. So Juha took off his hat, took off his cloak that he had over him, wrapped it around himself and tried to get comfortable on the doorstep. And as anybody knows who's tried to sleep on a doorstep, whether they wanted to or not, it's not the most comfortable place to sleep. He couldn't. He tossed and he turned, and he could not sleep. "Oh, this is ridiculous," thought Juha. So he banged on the door again. Bam, 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 bam. The window opened. "What do you want?" "Come on, please let me in. I can't sleep here on the doorstep." "I cannot let you in. It is more than my life is worth to let you in. The law is the law. The door is locked. It's after 12 o'clock. I'm sorry, but no." Is there nothing that would make you open that door and let me in? Absolutely not. Nothing at all? "Well," said the man out of the window, whose house it was, "perhaps there is. If a golden coin was to slip surreptitiously under the door, then maybe, just maybe, the door would open and you could come in. But I've already paid a gold coin to spend a night in this house. Up to you, my friend." "Oh, bah!" And Juha reached into his pocket, pulled out a golden dirham, put it on the doorsill, and flicked it under the door. A few seconds later, he heard the door unlatching, and the door was opened, and in he went. "Thank you very much." "My pleasure," said the man who owned the house. Juha was halfway up the stairs when suddenly he stopped. Ay. I've left my hat on the doorstep. I'm so sorry. I'll have to go back and get it. Or, unless, while you're there, you could get it for me." The owner of the house looked at him and said, "All right, I'll get it for you." And he went outside to get it. At which point, Juha was down those steps quicker than you could imagine, and he slammed the door shut and latched it. Click, 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 click. Bum, 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 bum. "What do you want?" "Well, let me in." "I can't do that, I'm sorry. It's after midnight. The door must remain closed. There is a curfew, you know. It's the law." "But this is my house. Bam, 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 bam. Let me in." "Oh, I'm so sorry, but there's nothing I could do to let you in. It's after midnight. It's more than my life is worth." Juha didn't have to wait long. He just looked down at the bottom of the door and the little gap that there was between the bottom of the door and the doorsill. And then he saw a gold coin come slipping in, and he picked up the gold coin, his gold coin, and put it in his pocket. He unlatched the door, and he let the owner of the house in. "You didn't leave a hat outside by any chance, did you?" said Juha to the man who owned the house. And upstairs he went and lay in his bed, and he fell asleep, remembering the stories that the storyteller had told him.